Welcome to The Buried Truth, where we uncover the chilling stories that lie hidden beneath the surface of our everyday lives. Tonight, we're diving into a case from 2022 that sent a ripple of fear across the entire country and forever changed the way we think about the apps we use every single day. This is a story about a ride home that turned into a nationwide manhunt, a stark reminder that convenience should never come at the cost of our safety. It all started on a seemingly ordinary weeknight. A kurang 24-year-old woman, let's call her Sarah, had just finished a long, late shift at her job. Exhausted and ready to get home, she did what millions of people do without a second thought. She opened her rideshare app and booked an Uber. It was a routine she'd followed hundreds of times before. The app buzzed, confirming a driver was on their way. A few minutes later, a car pulled up to the curb. Everything looked perfect. The make and model matched the app. The license plate was correct. Nothing felt out of place. Nothing felt dangerous. Sarah got in the back seat, ready for the short trip home. But the man behind the wheel wasn't the person pictured in the app. He wasn't the registered driver. He was a complete stranger who had hijacked the account. In that moment, Sarah's world tilted on its axis, even though she didn't know it yet. The journey began normally enough, the car winding through the quiet city streets. But then, about halfway through the ride, something went terribly wrong. Sarah's phone, which had been sharing her live location with her family, suddenly froze. The little dot that marked her progress simply stopped moving. Back at home, her family started to worry. It was getting late. Later than usual. They tried calling her phone. It rang and rang, but went straight to voicemail. Again and again, the same result. Panic began to set in. This wasn't like her. She always checked in. They called her friends. Her workplace. No one had heard from her since she left for her ride home. The sense of dread grew with every passing minute. By the time the sun began to rise, casting a grey light over the city, they knew they had to call the police. The routine ride home had become a terrifying mystery. When the police got involved, the investigation kicked into high gear immediately. Their first priority was to trace the ride. Using the information from the rideshare app, they managed to track the vehicle's last known location. It led them to a desolate, industrial area on the outskirts of the city. There, tucked away behind a row of dilapidated warehouses, was the car. It was abandoned. A quick check of the license plates revealed the first shocking twist. They were stolen. The car itself wasn't registered to the driver listed in the app. The entire profile, the friendly face, the name, the 5-star rating, it was all a fabrication. A fake identity built to lure unsuspecting passengers into a trap. The driver had vanished without a trace, and so had Sarah. The abandoned car offered few clues, wiped clean of any immediate evidence. Investigators now faced a monumental task: to find a ghost. They had to piece together the movements of a man who had gone to great lengths to hide his identity. The search expanded into a massive, multi-state operation. Detectives began the painstaking process of reviewing countless hours of surveillance footage. They scoured traffic cameras along every possible route the car could have taken. They pulled records from toll booths, looking for that specific stolen plate. They cross-referenced footage from gas stations and convenience stores, hoping for a single, clear image of the suspect. Every lead was a potential dead end. But the investigators were relentless. They knew that, with every hour that passed, the chances of finding Sarah alive diminished. The case quickly captured national attention. News outlets across the country ran the story, plastering the suspect's vague description and the details of the abduction on every screen. A wave of fear and anger swept through communities. How could this happen? How could a system designed for convenience be so easily manipulated for such a sinister purpose? The public was on high alert, and tips began to flood into the police hotlines. As the digital forensics team worked around the clock, they started to build a profile of the man they were hunting. He was a phantom, but he had made mistakes. By cross-referencing data from various law enforcement databases, they discovered something chilling. The suspect wasn't a first-time offender. He had a long and violent criminal history, with prior convictions for assault and other serious crimes. This wasn't a random act. It was the work of a predator. They also learned he had been permanently banned from multiple rideshare platforms under his real name. He had simply created a new, fake identity to get back on the road, specifically to prey on vulnerable people. The pieces of the puzzle were slowly coming together, painting a horrifying picture of a calculated and dangerous individual. He knew how the system worked and how to exploit its weaknesses. He targeted women traveling alone at night, counting on the late hour and the inherent trust people place in these services. The investigation now had a face, a name, and a history. The nationwide manhunt intensified. His photo was shared by law enforcement agencies in every state. The public became the police's eyes and ears, and the pressure on the suspect was mounting. There was nowhere left for him to hide. After days of tireless police work and a country holding its breath, the breakthrough finally came. A tip from a vigilant citizen led authorities to a motel in a neighboring state, hundreds of miles from where Sarah was last seen. A SWAT team descended on the location, surrounding the room where the suspect was holed up. After a brief but tense standoff, he was taken into custody without further incident. The manhunt was over. In the interrogation room, under the weight of the evidence stacked against him, the suspect confessed. His story was cold and methodical. He admitted to creating the fake driver profile with the specific intention of targeting and abducting women. He explained how he trolled the app late at night, looking for solo female riders. He confessed to the abduction of Sarah, detailing the events of that horrifying night. His confession confirmed the police's worst fears. This was a predator who used modern technology as his hunting ground. Thankfully, due to the swift and massive law enforcement response, Sarah was found. She was traumatized but physically safe, a testament to the relentless efforts of everyone involved in the search. The aftermath of this case sent shockwaves through the United States. It was a brutal wake-up call for both the public and the multi-billion-dollar rideshare industry. The story dominated headlines for weeks, sparking a fierce national debate about safety and accountability. People were asking tough questions. How could a known violent offender, banned from the platform, so easily create a new account? Why weren't the identity verification processes stronger? The public trust in these services, once taken for granted, was shattered. In response to the immense public pressure and the threat of government regulation, rideshare companies were forced to act. They scrambled to overhaul their safety protocols. The changes were significant and swift. Companies began implementing more robust background checks and continuous monitoring of their drivers. They introduced new in-app safety features, like PIN verification, to ensure you're getting into the right car with the right driver. Emergency contact features and direct lines to 911 from within the app became standard. These features, which are common today, were born directly from the tragedy of this case. The industry was forced to prioritize safety over rapid growth and convenience. This case serves as a powerful and enduring lesson. It's a chilling reminder that in our fast-paced, tech-driven world, convenience should never replace caution. We place an incredible amount of trust in the apps on our phones, in the strangers we invite into our cars and homes. While technology has made our lives easier in countless ways, it can also be exploited by those with malicious intent. The moral of this story is not to live in fear, but to live with awareness. It's about taking those few extra seconds to double-check the license plate, to ask the driver their name, to share your trip with a loved one. It's about trusting your instincts. If something feels off, it probably is. Cancel the ride. Wait for the next one. Your safety is worth more than a few minutes of your time. This story from 2022 is a buried truth that was brought to light. And by remembering it, we can all make smarter, safer choices. Thank you for joining us on The Buried Truth. If this story resonated with you, please hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more deep dives into the cases that shape our world. Stay safe out there and always trust wisely. We'll see you next time.